In late January 1951, when the temperature was around minus 20, Stanislav Zabrowski, my birth father, stepped off a train here at the Timmins railway station. He did what hundreds of other immigrants did before him. He hauled his bags off the train and walked to a hotel that offered cheap rooms. 6 months later, Mama and I left the camp in Germany and followed Stanislav to Timmins. Like thousands of other immigrants, we were looking to make a new start in a new land. But where was our new start? I had a few clues, including a couple of letters sent to Mama by friends from the camps in Germany. One was a family who'd gone to Detroit. Another was a family making their new start in Winnipeg. Both their letters were addressed to Mama at number 7 Birch Street North, Timmins. This is all that remains of that address. But we weren't there long. Mama's friends in Detroit had written to the Birch Street address in January 1952. By March 1952, Mama and I were at a new address in Wilson Avenue, possibly without Stanislav. By April 1952, we were living here, 300 kilometers away in Sudbury, Ontario, with our friend from the camps, Frank Uzarovsky. I never saw my birth father again. I visited the Timmins Museum, searching in old street directories and records for any clue about what happened to Stanislav. Finding nothing, I visited the library.
Yeah, nothing here. And I just go when I look wide open.
Then a breakthrough, a voters list for 1972. The very last name on the list, Stanislav Zabrowski. He's listed as being retired and living in Chateau Drive. The voters list was from Kirkland Lake, a hardscrabble community 140 kilometers from Timmins. On a map, Chateau Drive is a short street, only 5 homes. Strange because just on one page of the voters list, there were 10 people listed as living there, and all were listed as retired. This is where Stanislav and the others were living, at the chateau that gave the road its name. It was the former home of Harry Oakes, the town's gold rush millionaire. When he left, it was turned into a nursing home. So more questions. Why, at the age of 58, was my birth father in a nursing home? What happened to him? And then another breakthrough. A search on a website that claims to have the world's largest gravesite collection led to this. A Stanislav Zabrowski buried in the Kirkland Lake Cemetery. He died in April 1978. A call to the cemetery confirmed it was my father. I picked up some flowers and headed there. By the time I arrived, the manager, David Pierce, had located Stanislav's unmarked grave, and he put a handwritten marker on the spot to help me find it. Dave had more news for me. Stanislav was in an unmarked grave because he didn't have enough money for a funeral. The town had picked up the bill. Dave had another lead for me to follow. The cemetery burial records listed the name of the funeral directors. That company has changed its name several times since then, but they kept the records. And they gave the cause of death as CVA, cerebral vascular accident, a stroke. And when we got a copy of the full death certificate, we discovered Stanislav had had a previous stroke. It paralyzed the right side of his body. And that may be why he found himself in the Chateau nursing home. Mama married Frank after living with him for 26 years. In all their lives, neither told me about Stanislav. Before leaving Northern Ontario, I visited the grave in Kirkland Lake again. I talked to the father I had never had a conversation with. I don't know what to call you, so I'm going to call you Stan, okay? I hope that's all right. Before leaving, I made plans for a permanent marker. I wanted to return the name to a man who, whatever his faults, had suffered unimaginable hardship in his life, especially when he was a prisoner of war in a German stalag. Then I headed for home. I didn't have all the answers, but I felt a lot closer to the father I never really knew. I felt I understood him more. I had had a glimpse of who he was. And that's what this year of research in Germany and Ontario was all about. Understanding my parents, Mary and Stanislav, and my stepfather, Frank. Understanding the influences and the forces that had shaped them. Understanding they had little choice because of those forces. And understanding how those forces ultimately shaped me.